anyway, I had to go to county lockup 30 days, and I got out, and my friends, like any good military friend should do, said, you want to like pay rent or get food? No, let's throw a party and invite whores and have a gangbang.
Hey, welcome back for the road, everybody. Amarillo's Punk Rock. We got Gangbang Dave, we got Silent, we got Professor Blade with us today, and I think we are going to ruffle some feathers with this conversation today. Dave, this was one of your ideas, kind of like every other show that we do. So why don't you go ahead and introduce the topic for us?
Well, I don't know if we're necessarily trying to ruffle feathers, but
I'm not trying to, but it's going to.
Probably with this group. But I think talking a little bit about, I had a thought the other day. So there's been like a lot of different shows coming out, and really like, what we've always said when we started this was we wanted the ability to control the narrative. People are going to talk about clubs. People are going to present misinformation about clubs. People are going to talk bullshit about clubs. People are going to guess all this shit. This has always been a way to maybe share thoughts and ideas, to cover your face with a coffee mug, to really kind of control what's being talked about, or offer a counterpoint to mainstream news or to law enforcement or to people that aren't living the life or whatever the case may be. This was a way to say, okay, well, that's one opinion, but here's how national officers see it. Here's how guys with military backgrounds see it. Here's how 1%ers see it. Like, we brought all of this together. And I just had the idea, and I thought maybe it could be an article, but I don't know, easier to have a podcast on it and get these guys on it, because Professor and Silence, I don't know if they invented the internet, but they've at least been doing this stuff a long time. And like the article that I was going to write, I had the title, "That's Not Very Silent of You," as a play on words, right? Because they could say, well, your name is Silent. Why are you doing a podcast? And I think it's for that reason, because you see such crap shows out there that it's going to happen anyway. Why not have somebody of Silence caliber, Professor's caliber, of all the other writers and people that do the podcast, people that are actually legitimate, righteous people? Why not have them doing it instead of staying silent?
Yeah.
So that's where this idea came from.
So with and we're definitely not saying that we have like a monopoly, and you've said this before in other shows. We're definitely not saying that we have like a monopoly on what's right and what's wrong.
Have you ever looked at MC Protocol 101? Like,
I recently left that group. Yes.
So and the reason I feel like, because that is a good example of good and bad, because I make fun of one of the guys that's on there because he tried to get a GoFundMe so he could ride cross country. And I was like, what? But some people, so because of the way the platform is set up, some people could just post random shit to that group. And there's some really smart people on there that post good stuff or have good rebuttals or whatever. So again, like Punk Rock said, like, we're not God's staff or his dick or whatever when it comes to club knowledge. I think it's just something where we have a lot of great people that can share knowledge.
Absolutely, man.
I think to that point, it's the optimum word is share, because speaking to the other group, I'm in that group, but I never comment. I just observe, and I see there's people who genuinely want to learn. And then they ask a question which they obviously have no knowledge on the question, and then they get jumped on. It's like, it's a simple question. Just answer the question. Don't say, well, if you don't know, you don't know. Answer the question. If it's supposed to be an education platform, an education forum, then just answer the question. And then you can get into all the other stuff. I mean, obviously there are some really dumb questions, but there's a question that's obviously an innocent question and deserves a righteous answer. So there's too many people who come in there with the mentality of this super biker. Well, this is the way it's supposed to be. It's like, well, then you shouldn't be on an education platform if you're going to be a super biker. Yeah.
And now I don't know the whole history, but Silent and Professor, they've been there, starting with Preach, for most of that time and building it. I think prior to you guys doing that, and there was other stuff out there, but a lot of it came from people that you know are going to have either an agenda or a narrative to try to sell you something or promote what they're doing. You know, one I think was like a ex-cop or ex-Iron Order or is a cop or whatever, and he was doing like vlogs on club stuff and whatnot. And like, why are you having his slanted opinion and nobody is giving a rebuttal to that? Like, you're not just going to sit there and let somebody continually punch you in the mouth. Eventually you're going to punch them back. And I feel like with Sucker Free and then here in the podcast, I think that's what, you know, you guys really kind of help to build.
I think that's the problem with the biker narrative in general right now. Why the story is so one-sided. We, for the longest time, have not shared our story. I mean, simple things like something happens, but we don't take control of the narrative. We allow other people to take control of the narrative. And, you know, that started off with Waco when things started to change, where we started to take back the narrative. We should not be afraid of telling our own stories and taking back our narrative. And not allowing other people to do it for us. So it's like, yeah, one of the things we're talking about is everyone wants to be an expert, but everyone thinks they're an expert. The thing is, everyone wants to be an expert. Not everyone thinks they're an expert. Everyone wants to be an expert, especially if they've just been in the life for a moment. I mean, I don't claim to have, you know, dozens and dozens of years in this life, but I do listen. I do keep my ears open. And
hey, you're getting pretty close to dozens and dozens.
You know what? Every year you're right, but you know,
and I think Silence said something once, and I don't remember exactly what show it was, but I think we made a reference to that prior to some of this stuff. You know, people were getting their information off of Gangland, and Silent can certainly appreciate what it's like to have an appearance on Gangland. And you know, like he said, I don't remember exactly what you said. You can take it from here, but basically not letting Gangland be the accepted whatever of how your club is presented.
Right. And I don't remember exactly how I worded it either. But just to jump on that is, yeah, you know, there's numerous platforms out here that are educational. I know the platforms that you're referring to. I'm not on any of those platforms. Simply because I don't have time, and it seems like you read the same fucking questions every 3 days because nobody goes back and reads the historical data that's on the page. You know, the page doesn't clear itself every 24 hours. You know, you can go back and read, you know, what questions had been posted and all that shit. But people go on and they post the same shit, and I just got tired of it. But you know, to jump on the expert thing, I don't think that there's a lot of people doing podcasts and doing these shows that believe they're experts. I see what they're doing is capitalizing on a market, and that market being, you know, the MC world. You know, how many clicks can I get? How much money can I earn if I just draw people in to these podcasts? You know, yeah, I got 100,000 clicks. How many dollars is that? Okay, so this is what I need to do to just drive traffic or the foot traffic to those shows. But and we've had this discussion before. They attempt to validate these shows by having other people on the show that again will drive the foot traffic to that show. You know, they themselves are not a subject matter expert by any means at all. So they use other people to validate their show in order to get this foot traffic. It's all about money. You know, I think we had talked about it before with what is that outlaw vodka or some shit that somebody was trying to sell, you know, capitalizing on the culture itself. You know, guy's been in like fucking 18 clubs or some shit.
So should we cede the floor to Professor here for a minute?
You know what? I'm not going to mention the name. I'm not going to give it any more notoriety than it already is. But we all can figure it out. But yes, oh, for God's sake, outlaw vodka. I mean, look, I drink vodka. I like vodka. I like whiskey too. I like wine too. But Jesus, come on. At one point, are you going to acknowledge that you're just exploiting something rather than really giving a shit?
Yeah,
So,
if you market it as 1%er vodka, like I mean that outlaw vodka or whatever, like you are obviously trying to you're trying to make non 1%ers buy into this mystique. You're not selling it to the people that you're claiming to be. You're not selling it to other 1%ers. Maybe some of your brothers or whatever would buy that stuff. But really what you're doing is that's a marketing ploy. Like you're trying to take people that aren't in the life or aren't living that and give them some sort of cool factor, validation, whatever, by selling them this vodka that's labeled as outlaw vodka. I mean, it's no different than when Harley put shit that looks like a 3-piece patch on a t-shirt or whatever. Like you're trying to sell somebody a part of something that they're not a part of.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the reason why some folks patch jump too, is because they need that validation in their life. It's part of their brand. If they don't have that diamond, or they don't have some semblance of a diamond, their brand is diluted in their eyes a little bit. So as long as they can keep that diamond, or keep a diamond of some semblance, then they can keep selling.
And
yeah,
you know, I mean, we're not, obviously we have so many different clubs attached to 4 for the Road, and we have officers and we have considerations, and not even from like somebody's over there doing a line or smoking a joint or drunk driving or whatever, getting into a fight. Like not even that we're not trying to talk about or show that, but it's just like, because you're comfortable talking about it doesn't mean that your brother's going to be comfortable talking about it. So I think sometimes it's hard for us in the podcast to promote, or not promote, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess to show some of the stuff that we're doing, either, you know, that you guys are doing with your clubs or stuff like that. But we have tried to be out in the community, going to more public events, or, you know, talking to other club guys and stuff like that, and being able to promote it on the page. And I guess that's sort of our difference, or what we're trying to do to be, I don't want to say legitimate. Like we're already legitimate because we have guys that are in clubs and guys that have been around for a long time. But going to Sturgis, going to Daytona, going to different club functions and stuff like that, going to drag races and flat tracks and Mama Tried, I don't see other. There's a few. Again, there's some other good ones out there, but kind of those ones that seem to be so in your face, like Ken said, like paying for content and trying to get you to sign up for shit and everything else. Like they're not active. Like I got, you got guys that are running gay throttle sites that, they haven't been to shit in years. Like, what the fuck you doing? Get out of here.
And I definitely think, like, I want to, Jesus fucking Christ, the positive side of that, right, is like, yeah, you have like Insane Throttle or fucking whatever, where they just capitalize on the culture. But then you have the flip side of that, the positive side of that, is you got stuff like what Jace is doing with the Fast Life. And you got stuff like what Galen and Lance are doing with 2-Lane Life, where.
But who else is doing it like with clubs? I know there's a few out there. So actually, so Brian Dirty, who we had from Brothers in Chains, I like their stuff. I wish that maybe they were able to disassociate from certain people, but that's, I'm not anybody to tell them what to do. But I think as far as guys that are going to get on their scoots and ride, I've seen him take off and go states away. I've been to his house and his parties and stuff like that. Like he's living what him and his brothers are talking about on their podcast. He's not hiding it. He's not selling you anything. There's no anything to sign up for. I really like what he's doing there. I enjoyed having him on our podcast and stuff like that. Like I said, there's some guests that make me cringe, but none of us are the Lord and Master over who you can have on your podcast. So, I mean, there are other ones out there that are doing it, but if you're just paying for content and you're not doing anything in the life, then like, what do you like, like the dog page, like I know it's easy to beat up the dog page, but he didn't do anything. Even that one guy that was in his club was smart enough to leave and do his video blogs or whatever he does.
Yeah. And well, that we've had the conversation behind the scenes. The elephant in the room, the show that you're referring to, we all have a plan, a good plan at some point. I think the execution, it was poor. I think some, again, the validation aspect of it, some people use other people to validate who they are, or what they stand for and so on. Um, you know, I told the gentleman, you know, I've worked way too hard to build the reputation in this world that I have. Um, the page that we present to the public, we all work extremely hard to build the reputation of Four for the Road, you know, and it can be tarnished very, very quick if you don't pay attention to who you surround yourself with, you know. Um, if you let others use you for their validation, that good reputation that you've worked hard for and years to build can be tarnished in a fucking 60-minute show. It's done. Your reputation is shit, you know? So you really did that. Something like that is a career ender if you're in this world trying to make a positive difference.
And I think that's what maybe people don't think enough about is, this isn't the 60s anymore. Everything that we do, or I guess, since I'm kind of in between stages, everything that guys holding a patch do is going to be publicized. Whether it's they catch you the first time, or they take a picture of you the first time, or you're on video here, or 100 times later, like eventually either the news is going to have a story about you, just some curious onlooker is going to snap a picture of you, some bartender is going to have a story to tell his buddy, like what eventually it's going to happen. So you can either let that be the only thing that's out there, and hey, some dudes are fine with that old school, let them think what they want, and we'll do everything we can to freak them out, and that's fine too. But I think more people are like, hey, maybe we can change some of this, maybe we can lower some of the profiling or the harassment or the misinformation, or we can bring in good new members instead of guys that think that they're going to be, just a patch and use it to gain power or whatever. Like maybe we can help steer the next generation and stuff like that. And that's what I think y'all do an amazing job of here.
I think piggybacking off of that, I would hope that at some point any member of my club could speak on the things that I speak on. That is my ultimate goal. I am not trying to hoard information. I am trying to pass on information that I've learned that has been verified and my own insights as a professional, and so that any member of my club can speak on the same things. It should not be a secret within this world. Social media has allowed, as a positive and as negative, it has allowed us a voice, allowed us to get this message out to a further audience, but at the same time, it has allowed people who shouldn't be speaking to have a voice, and quite a loud voice at the same time. So, I mean, ultimately the goal is we want any member in our club to be able to replace us. That should be the goal. It's like the next president should be the person right behind me. And that's the same thing with these kind of podcasts, with these kind of pages, which is, that would be my hope.
And I think too, it speaks with the people that we've had on the show. I mean, we've had, I won't name drop anybody, but other one percenters from other large nations, mixed race clubs, white clubs, black clubs. Like we've had a little bit of everything on this show already, or submitting articles to us before we had the show. And I think that speaks to the fact that more people than not appreciate not us, but a place, a page, a whatever, where you can share information. And I feel like that gives us a responsibility, or at least I feel that way, to not piss all over it and to treat it as a responsibility or a duty to like, take it accordingly. And like I said, just not cheapen whatever I'm trying to say is just not cheapen it.
And I don't want to, because like I know we bashed a couple people, right? And it's fun.
Insane Throttle.
It's Insane Throttle sucker free. But it's fun, right? I mean, I enjoy it. I have a great time doing it. And I think like I have, my conscience is too big, I think. I feel a little bit bad because I look at it, because I look at myself and be like, man, like I'm just some fucking nerd from San Diego. Like who the fuck am I to have this kind of platform? But I want to believe that these other pages, these other podcasts and all that stuff were started with integrity. They were started with a good God, I'm just losing my words today, man.
Well, I've always felt, you know what, and another one, names or whatever, but I've never cared for Black Dragon show. I always felt like he was either trying to hawk something, or he was patronizing to lower. Like it's almost like he was condescending, or trying to talk to somebody like they were below whatever he was trying to teach them and stuff like that. I always felt like it was just ingenuine. And maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm just the asshole. But I never watched a show and was like, yeah, this is a guy that genuinely cares about the preservation of the community. I never got that vibe. And maybe that's on me. Isn't he in California? We're coming out that way. He can punch me if he wants to. But I'm just like, I'd never.
Who's the Demon's Row guy?
Somebody said he turned in his rags.
I forget who it was. I watched there was one guy, like one of my friends, he wanted to kind of dabble in the club life because he was still trying to break down all the stereotypes, see what was true, what wasn't. And he sent me this link, and it was a Demon's Row video of how to start your own 1% club.
That sounds like some Miklo shit.
Oh man,
I think we touched upon that.
It was fucking amazing. And it was basically just, I mean, it was just full of big dick energy. You know, it's just like, no, fucking slap your rags on, slap that fucking diamond on, and you go ride your shit, and you don't take any shit from anybody. And if somebody wants to fucking call you out, especially a 99% club, you beat them down right there in the parking lot.
Is Black Dragon still in the club?
Black Dragon, I believe he still is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his status. I'm not going to spend too much time commenting on him. I mean, he knows how to find me if he wants to talk with me. I think the difference is who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with people who are going to check you, who are not going to let you believe in your own myth and wallow in your own bullshit, which is kind of what we do. There's 11 of us on this page. We can't get away with shit. We say one thing, you know, somebody's going to come along real fast and slap you down on your bullshit. So if it's a one-man show, you might start off with good intentions, but you know, ego is a hell of a drug.
Well, I love the fact that on the page that most of there's 9,000 people, but how many have ridden with us or had a beer with us? I mean, I know people that personally know Professor comment all the time. Silent's brothers comment. Silent has brothers that comment from across the pond. You know, and the same with Ken and guys that he rode with, and Jim's brothers, and obviously No Shame and Road Dirt. They share a patch with Professor and stuff like that. But just the amount of different people from different clubs that actually can validate if we say we're doing something, we're doing it.
You know, and that goes back to what Professor was saying. It all goes on who we choose to surround ourselves with. If we choose to surround ourselves with a bunch of people that, you know, lack integrity or lack the confidence to just be yourself, whether you're in a patch, out of a patch, whether you're in a car, you're on your bike, whatever, just be yourself. That's, you know, you're going to grow. And if you're going to surround yourself with a bunch of people that want to change who they are based upon how they dress, then you're going to be that kind of guy as well. And kind of to your point, you know, speaking just for my own experiences, you know, the people that I've chose to surround myself with that comment on the page are people that I learned from, you know, especially like little shout out to Kenjin. You know, that motherfucker, he's been in my life since I started prospecting for my very first club 8 years ago, you know, and that man's been along to, I've watched him grow as a man, as a brother, as a club guy. He's watched me grow in the same aspects, you know, and it's we all have to better each other.
Well, I think the genuine care that comes from the people that are on the page and trying to, even if we make mistakes or don't do something the right way, like being able to learn from it, comes through when we ride in the places that we go. Being able to see Professor at the Harley Museum, some of the clubs that have reached out to myself or to Drifter to talk about, yeah, let's get up and have a beer, or let's let's record a little something while you're on the road, like legitimate long-standing clubs. And that's something that means a lot to Drifter. It means a lot to me. I had a blast seeing Professor at the Harley Museum and stuff like that. So I think that, and again, I don't spend a lot of time on those other pages, but I don't see a lot of that interaction going on. Like, it never seems to go deeper than the keyboard. Does that make sense?
What we're doing here is building a community. It's like, again, it all comes with not hoarding knowledge. When you're building a community, the tendrils are going to reach out. So we started off with 9 of us. Now we're 11. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? We're building a genuine community. We're building genuine relationships, and we continue to do that. It's going to get to the point where we're not going to be able to allow our egos to overshadow us, because people who know us are going to check us because of this community that we've built. I mean, it's great going someplace and somebody wanted to buy you a beer because they know who you are, but it's even better knowing that they know who you are because they heard your message and they're doing the right thing. So again, who you surround yourself with is all the difference. It's absolutely all the difference.
And we're the only podcast sponsored by Harley Davidson.
There you go.
Okay, it's a Harley dealer. I'm about to get sued or some shit. It's a Harley dealer. All right, calm down, corporation.
Hashtag get it at Gator, Leesburg, Florida.
Hey, so real quick,
That's for Big Mike.
What do you have to do?
Hashtag Big Mike.
Pause? Do we have to pause so you can do an ad, or do you work that in somewhere else?
No, I just record all that stuff after we're finished.
Do you go do you go on Silent's Facebook page and get a picture of him and post it as the screen cover for the for the commercial?
I could. You know what? I have a picture of me and Silent and one of his brothers. So as long as I had permission from the other two, I could use that as the cover for the.
Hey, so real quick, because I'm getting old. I'm not as old as these guys, but I'm getting old. So I had 2 things I want to cover.
I need to say, you look very young with that shaven beard right now. What the hell?
I had 2 things I wanted to cover real quick. Number 1, has anybody heard the Hell on? So I just started listening to it, the Hell on Wheels podcast with Big One 1%er from Outkast.
No.
Yeah, I don't. I like it. So he was a guest on the podcast that Dirty does, so that's why I listened to it, because I saw him advertise it, and I liked what he had to say. Now I know that they also did some stuff with Insane Throttle. Well, you know what? Nobody's perfect. We used to hang out with Preach. I get it, but I like his so it's called Hell on Wheels Garage Podcast, and I like it. All right, the second thing I had was for Silent and for Professor, who are men in their club that have a lot of responsibility, and also kind of the responsibility of doing on this. How do you guys balance not only what you're putting out here, but also the fact that you are leaders, high-ranking leaders in your respective clubs?
From my perspective, I think Silent's responsibility, the level is a little different, it's a little more hands-on. For me, I'm a lot of behind-the-scenes kind of things. So I'm working all the time. I'm on vacation. I get calls all the time, but it's mostly calls for information. So I stay current. I take the role very seriously. I'm always trying to figure out ways of doing something better, and I take advice. There's a lot of new guys coming in who say, hey, well, you could do this and that. So I take advice all the time. And I tell them, hey, I'm going to incorporate this. I'm going to steal your idea, but I appreciate it. And it's not me really trying to take credit as much as hey, you did something better. One day you're going to hold this particular seat. So Silent's position is a little more hands-on. So
I think people like that, hearing a person of your stature saying that, you know what, I'm listening to those new guys. It's not, and I understand that some people also are like, hey, new guy, you haven't been in here long enough to sit down and hang on and watch and learn. I get that aspect of it too. But like Professor said, I think learning from the new guys can be important too. All right, Sal, what do you got for us?
It is when Blade mentioned that, or Professor mentioned that, I do the same thing. I like to do it actually to probates that are right about to start patching in, right? Because they've been around for a while. They have seen a lot. Probates know a lot more than what people give them credit for. You know, they may be standing outside that door or standing in that parking lot, but they fucking hear a lot. You know, they see a lot because they see stuff from outside the box, where we get so entwined in what is happening in the inner circle that they're sitting outside the circle and watching, you know. So I like to ask them, what have you learned? In the event that you were to patch in today, and you could affect change, what changes would you like to see? You ask those questions and just kind of see what they have to say, because whether we like it or not, the new blood is what drives the club. That's what continues growth. I mean, yeah, you can probate that 65-year-old guy, assuming he makes it through probation without a fucking having a heart attack. He's still only good for another, let's push it and say 20 years, and then he's dead. So that young guy that's 21 that's joining, this kid has, 50 or 60 years ahead of him if he can make it that far in the club. So you really want that new blood, that young blood, to kind of give you give you tips on and changes in a positive way, like Instagram. If you talked about Instagram 10 years ago, Blade and I both would probably laugh at you and go, "Are you fucking kidding me? We don't put our business on Instagram."
I feel like that was you 5 minutes ago.
Well, it was.
I still don't know how to use Instagram. So.
I love that silent made Instagram like a 9-syllable word. That Instagram.
See, and that's why I threw the professor in there, because I was hoping I could go back that far and he would vouch for it. But you're absolutely correct. 5 minutes ago, I was like, "Fucking Instagram, what is that shit?"
What the hell?
Hey, fucker. Hey, so. But I do have Instagram. I still haven't really figured out how to use it. I've got some pictures on there, but I think I did it by accident, and I don't remember how to keep doing it.
They're the back of people's heads and shit.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. Hey, fuck you, punk rock.
What about the fact that you've talked about it before? But you're a high-level individual within your national and worldwide club, and you're also doing this. Like, what about balancing the responsibilities to the two? Or do you feel more responsibility on this because you're so now public and out there? Like, I mean, not only are you representing your club in a good light, but now you're also representing this information that you're putting out there.
Actually, doing these shows, and I don't know if Professor's in the same boat. It's you almost have to do it with kid gloves, because you're still, while I come on here and I speak about the MC world, and I always say that the comments that come out of my mouth are my comments, and I'm not speaking for my nation. But all that really don't fucking matter, because I'm still a warlock, and the shit that comes out of my mouth is a reflection of my club, So you really still got to be careful somewhat on how you carry through with some things, and what you say. So I would like to do this more than what I do, but I have to be very cautious and respectful, and remember that I am a representative of my nation,
unless it's the dog club.
Fuck the dog club.
I'm going to agree on that too, because I have issues with certain people in other clubs, but it's not my nation's issue. It's my issue. Actually, some of it is my nation's issue too, but some of it is my issue, and that's because of personal interactions with them. They may or may not even remember. I remember everything. Unfortunately, I have this curse that I'm going to remember everything. I may pretend I don't, but I do. So you do have to be cautious, because you are a representative of your nation, and that can come back to bite you if you're not careful.
Well, and I think like Silent and Professor just said too, I think everybody on the page that's wearing a patch or has worn a patch has done a really great job of not separating themselves from it when talking or posting something on the page, but considering all different viewpoints when talking about something on the page. I mean, obviously, something fucked up is something fucked up, but I think when posting an opinion piece or starting a conversation or being on the podcast, I feel like there's probably a certain way that your club would do it, where it's like, this is the way that we're going to do it. But I think on here, people do a really great job of acknowledging different ways to do things. And I think that kind of sets it apart from some of the other pages.
Right. And, and there, I do posts or done post where, it is reader led, as far as the topic. I may kind of open up with a general question on something, and then I'll let the readers take that conversation where they want to take it, knowing damn well that maybe my nation is completely different and operates completely different than what that conversation is. But I try to be the journalist when it comes to stuff like that. The old school journalist, not the new shit where they get paid to support one political party or whatever, I try to be completely neutral and let the readers go that route. Again, knowing that, my club doesn't do anything like that. But I don't say that because this is not about what my nation does or doesn't do, if that makes sense. It's more, it's strictly education is what I shoot for.
Yeah, I think that makes total sense.
And I think, what I really appreciate about the education aspect of it too is we're spread out all over the country. We got dudes in, up and down the Atlantic coast. We got guys, Midwest, West Coast, Pacific Northwest, and protocol and tradition changes based upon geography, based upon who the dominant club is in their area, what they like to see, and I can speak to that from experience. Coming from San Diego to coming to Florida, night and fucking day. So
tell them Florida don't play. They tell them Florida don't play.
Florida
don't fuck
shit.
around.
Nah, you riding around and you look wrong. Like, it's just like, hey man, what the fuck is that? Hey man, it's a McDonald's M. I like McDonald's. I don't. It's not. I'm sorry. But I've also never met a more genuine group of people than here. Dave has introduced me to a lot of them. And they just are who they are. You're not going to get some tough guy just because he's in his fucking patch or because we're at a certain location, whatever. That's just who he is. Whether he is just legitimately a tough guy or he the sweetest fucking dude walking the planet. And I've also seen, quote unquote big bad motherfucking 1%ers playing with their grandbabies and cooing over their grandbabies, man. And it's nice to
why don't you tell us about that sweet deal you got on that seat, huh, dickhead?
That I did get a really good deal on that seat.
Hey, that could be our next. I'm just throwing this out there. Our next promotional sponsor. I'm just saying. Promote that shop.
Hey, hook us up. Let me know.
But, yeah, and I think if you're going to go to some of these other pages, or if you're going to start your own podcast and be wild on sevens or whatever this stuff is called, like Punk Rock said, just be genuine. Have a love for it. I think the number one thing here is everybody has a love for life. Whether it's riding, whether it's leading men like Silent Professor are doing, or riding like Jim is, or the history like I am, or and everybody's got kind of that thing that they really love. Road Dirt has some great stories when he's like hanging with his brothers, where he doesn't even tell you what they were talking about. He just tells you how he feels when he was in the room with those people. And I think that shit is genuine, and it comes across when you're talking to him or any of you guys. And so if you're going to all right, I'm going to start a podcast or a vlog or whatever, I'm going to ride around. It's going to be different. What am I going to do? Just be genuine. Like, if you want to ride backcountry roads, you want to ride and shoot heroin. I mean, maybe don't do that, but like whatever you're into and you're going to be genuine about, do that. And that's what I think kind of pisses me off about some of these other shows. they're just not genuine. They've got like their opinion is the best opinion and everybody else is a fucking moron, or whatever they're doing is the right thing and whatever everybody else is doing is wrong. And that shit just irks me. Like they're, other than like maybe not being an asshole, like being righteous, being a good club dude is subjective. What makes you a good club dude in Silence Club might be different than another club. I think just being good character and respect, I think those are the two universals coast to coast.
Well, those are the pillars of those are the foundations and the pillars of this community. Is like respect, just having good manners, and you don't have to be an asshole. You can be polite. I might knock your teeth out, but I'm going to be polite about it.
And don't shit in their RV. Like, I'm really sorry for Drifter's brother. I tried not to. All right, don't shit in someone else's RV. No, I'm sorry.
If you got to go, you got to go.
The thing about these podcasts and blogs, did you say vlog like with a V?
So there's two things. There's blogs and there's also vlogs. Vlogs are like a video chat thing where you can do it on the road. You can just do it sitting somewhere and talking, but it's where you make a video out of it instead of typing it out.
Is that like Star Wars? No, Star Trek. Was that Star Trek when he went like the captain's log, that thing? Is that what you're talking about? That's exactly. Before you were born.
Exactly. That's spot on.
That's probably before you were born. Okay.
That was just a journal.
Hey, Ken, whatever the clip is that you're going to steal at 4105, whatever, that's the clip we want to promote the show. You like that Star Trek guy?
So what I was trying to get to anyway with the podcast and the vlogs and blogs, so my point was, they're like clubs, I mean, honestly, you can't do anything different. We've had the discussion over and over with the clubs. You have military clubs, you have military associations, you have 99% clubs, you have Christian ministry clubs, motorcycle ministry clubs, 1%er clubs. I mean, when you step in front of that dominant and say, I want to start my own club, there's really no answer you can give him that to justify starting a club that nobody else is already doing. Right? I think we've talked about that a million times. You're not going to be that veterans club or that 99% club that steps in and goes, well, I think I'm going to just do fundraisers for children in need. Boom. Guess what? We got Baca. I mean, there's clubs for every single thing already in existence, So, but the same goes with these podcasts. They're all the same topics, whether you're on motorcycle traditions, motorcycle history, morals, ethics, standards, bylaws, whatever. They're all basically the same thing, but bouncing back to what Mr. Gangbang Dave said and Professor is how you bring it to the table, your presentation, your mannerisms, your overall aura is what brings the listeners in and keeps them at the table listening. You know what I mean? Not the fucking me, I, I'm the know all be all. No, guess what? I don't know. So I'm going to ask Professor Blade, what it is because I don't know the answer. You know what I'm saying? That's what brings people in because it's fucking real and it's genuine. So that's my advice. If for those people that are going to go out there and like you said, and start these podcasts and shit up, be genuine. If you don't know, don't fake it. Say you don't know and get somebody in there that can answer the question.
I was gonna say that's an awesome opportunity to have somebody on that you respect. You as the host. That's an awesome opportunity for you to have somebody on that you respect, that you believe is educated in that field, and have a conversation about it.
Yeah,
there's been plenty of Four for the Road episodes where I didn't know, and it's just like, well, Dave, what do you think?
And look at the kind of the broad spectrum of guests that we had. Like you said, from Jeff Holt to members of other 1% nations. I mean, we really have kind of tried to do a little bit of everything to not only have variety. But I learned something from people. Like I learned something from guys that are in clubs on the West Coast, or I learned something from guys that aren't in clubs but are building amazing bikes or something like that. You know, so I think like, what are you like, if you're going to start something or you want to do something, like actually pick something that you're interested in. Like, what do you want to learn more about? Like, I love learning about how you guys do it on the West Coast, or what it's like, you know, out East or something like that. And then when I travel and getting to like meet people that are living that and talk to them, or, you know, see the bikes that they're creating or whatever the case may be. So pick something that you're going to actually have an interest in, where you're going to learn something. Like if you think you're an expert, like I feel like you're just going to be condescending to everybody and not learn shit. But like if you pick something that you want to learn more about, it'll be a better show.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That was going to be the only thing I was going to add. Is just leave the tough guy shit off of the air, because if I think that's probably the most common feedback that we get is people feel that they're just kind of hanging out with their buddies in their garage or around a fire or something like that, just having a conversation. And there's no attitude, there's no bravado, there's no I'm fucking better than everybody else. It's just, you know, we are who we are. We're all fucking men first, and we just having conversations, you know, and not to you know, blow silent or nothing like that. But him and the brother that I met last weekend picking up that seat, you would have never known that I was speaking to the stature of men that I was speaking to, that I was hanging out with. They're just two normal dudes having a great time, just kicking it. You know, there was no intimidation. It wasn't anything other than just a bunch of fun. You know.
Yeah. Well, there doesn't need to be. You know, there's something that a saying I learned in the military was, if I have to tell you I'm in charge, I'm not in charge.
Yep.
You know, but that goes with everything I do. You know, I don't have to tell you that I'm a national officer. The way I conduct myself, I shouldn't have to have a cut on. You know, this the way that I conduct myself at all times, regardless of what the situation is and where it is, that should tell you that this is who I am and this is my position, this is my responsibilities. You know, so. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you felt comfortable. And
Hey,
you're
that black guy's healing him nice, Ken.
yeah, yeah, it is.
To kind of pick it back off of that, is like, it's how you enter into this life too. If you enter it with a genuine love of the life, and you're a righteous man in the first place, then that's going to translate over. But if you are trying to reinvent yourself, if you are trying to be something that you're not, I mean, we want the man who we met to be that brother. Mm-hmm. We want that same man. We don't want this transformer.
Hey.
We want that same man who we met to be our brother. So the ones you're going to be closest to are the ones who are the same people who you met. If they change up, that's when things start to go south.
Right now, to piggyback on that, I just had this conversation Saturday with a probate, and the way I explained it to him is you are going to change. You know, you're going to change from being a civilian to a hang around. You're going to change again from being a hang around to a probate. You're going to change from being a probate to a full patch. And then whatever title that you may end up have. I say title, and I know that sounds derogatory, but a position rather. You are going to change, but what should not change is your personality, your morals, your ethics, your common core values. You know, your integrity. None of that should ever change. And I think that's actually what you're getting at, Professor. I'm assuming that is what you mean.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean, because I would hope that your process would make you a better person. I would hope that will make you a more open person. I hope that it will make you a more knowledgeable person. But yes, definitely, your core values, your core person should be the same person who I met at the very beginning.
Exactly.
And I think, so I've only had to probate once. But I think, coming in, you're looking for somebody, or I think for people that are confident in themselves, but also humble, I think it's a little bit easier time. I think when you are maybe overly cocky or when you haven't been humbled before, you maybe lack some of that humility. It's a longer journey because that club is going to humble you. If you don't have it, they're going to teach it to you. And I think the sooner that you can humble yourself to the process, to the idea of belonging to something bigger than yourself, it's never easy, but the easier time that you're going to have versus that dude that's constantly got his dick out and takes a harder lesson to be humbled, or to be to have that humility.
Yeah, I think that's in the club world. A lot of your successful membership, regardless of what club you're in, and this is just my point of view. A lot of the military guys stand out because most of us anyway, unless you were in the Air Force or something, or the Navy. I said, or the Navy. Most of us have eaten that humble pie, in basic training, or whatever unit you just happen to be in. But you've had that slice of humble pie, and it's once you've had it, it's a little bit easier to accept, in life. And I think that's what makes probating, at least in a 1% club for a military guy, a little bit easier than Joe Blow that's never served. And now you're 35 years old and you're trying to probate for a 1% club and you're being dogged the fuck out, and you really struggle to handle it, because they haven't experienced it before.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I agree with that. So Ken, when you start prospecting?
Whenever Dad mails me my package.
Or I guess you gotta hang around first. Sorry, I skipped a step there.
No, I mean, kind of like what you and I were talking about. I think it was you and I. Oh, you and I are maybe Jim, maybe. I'm not going to join a club in Florida just because it's not like I'm going to be here for I only got about a year left here, and then just to build bonds with these guys to leave them and potentially unless I can afford to come back. But I'll never be stationed here again. That's not on the table. So
I can tell you if you only have a year left, you don't have half enough time to even come to my nation.
He said, don't even come to a party. You know what?
Yeah.
Don't even come to a party.
You ain't fucking welcome, punk rock. That's it.
No, you're more than welcome. No. But I mean, you can't get through the hang around phase.
No, exactly.
With the time you have left. Much less
he meant period. You can't get through it.
Yeah, I mean, we can get you ready for the hang around phase. You just start washing my bike every weekend. We'll get you prepared for the hang around phase. Just don't expect it to ever happen.
Yeah.
And actually, it wouldn't be fair if you're leaving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, if that's the case, then I don't want to be hanging around for Professor because he's got 5 bikes. Okay, I'll be there all week.
Yeah, but I mean, luckily for us is the hang around of the probate. I mean, luckily for us, he loans them out to his brothers all the time. So you only got 1 or 2 in the garage at any time.
I actually do loan them out.
Yeah, and remember he was complaining the other day. So they're going to come back dirty and shit, and he's just going to call you and be, hey Ken, get down here.
Yeah. One bike didn't come back.
That was probably the hanger on. He's like, hey man, can you not bring that bike back?
Well, that's why I refuse to get more than 1 bike, because I'm not loaning my shit out.
That bike you have now isn't a bike; it's a rocket.
Kind of. Yeah.
Which is fitting since where you work that you ride something that's basically a space shuttle. I feel like that's fitting. But that's all I kind of got for tonight. I'm excited. This is the last full week before we head out to Vegas. Obviously, Silent's too important to go that far to see us. But Professor, hopefully he'll get a chance. And Ken, are you flying or what? What's up?
Got my leave in, man. I'm waiting to hear back.
So honestly, I wanted to do this, but I have other obligations that are not going to afford me the opportunity.
Going from
Which end?
Florida in August to Vegas in August, would that be like a wind chill? Would that be like cold for you because the humidity would be so much less?
Yeah, I believe I would probably die.
You need a hoodie. You out there in Vegas in a hoodie.
Yeah,
You know what?
I'm gonna get. I'll be putting a parka on to fucking get gas. You know.
The man's not wrong.
I'm gonna have to sign off, but I just want to shout out to all our friends out there in the hurricane storm, in the eye of the hurricane. Just be safe out there. We hope you all come through this. We're here for you. We're thinking about you, and we will see you on the other side.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Yeah, I was going to do the same thing, but the professor's he's the professor for a reason, and jumped on top of it.
Hey, you guys, by you won't get any of this, will you? There, Silent.
No. I mean, it rains every day here in the summertime anyway. At 3:00, it's going to fucking rain no matter what, just because of the humidity. But I actually have the Weather Channel on in front of me right now, and Louisiana is getting their ass handed to them right now. So, it's a Category 4, and it's pushing inland right now. So, now actually, it's saying it just dropped to a Category 3.
Now, this one is supposed to be like devastating, but I was watching the weather earlier, and they said because it's moving faster, it won't be, not that it helps, but it won't be quite as bad as Katrina, because Katrina like hovered, I guess, like somebody like it sat there, and this one's gonna like move faster. Right.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference on how fast it moves. But it's really not moving that fast. Jim Katori. Right? Is it Katori? Cantone? What the hell's his name? Punk rock?
Oh, Joe Cantori? Jim Cantori. Jim Cantori. Yeah.
Yeah, he was making a comment earlier, that it'll move and then it'll stop and move and stop and move and stop. Now how fast that process is happening, I don't know. But I know they're getting pummeled right now. So
yeah, I'm still showing it as a Category 4, where it's sitting right over what is that? Puma? I don't know how to pronounce that.
pummels. Pummels.
So did they? But I mean,
But,
in the 16 years since Katrina, have they like made? I'm assuming they have like vast improvements to shit and everything else.
I don't know.
I mean, your house in this kind of weather, your house is your house. But I mean, as far as like city structure and like to keep the flooding at a minimum, I guess. Hopefully, they've made changes to the levees and the dams and everything else.
I don't think they can change the overall height, though. I mean, Louisiana's below sea level.
Yeah.
Unless they leveled the whole damn place and brought in 3 trillion truckloads of dirt.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the outcome is. But that's all I got for tonight. You guys got anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, I'm gonna go to dinner then.
Well, yeah.
Hey, I like this new platform. I like this new shit, Ken. This is good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit back and watch the Tyrone Woodley fight. 8:00.
Jake Paul, right?
He ain't fighting no fucking Jake Paul, is he?
Isn't that the YouTube fight he's got?
Somebody's kicking the shit out of Jake Paul soon. Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it? Hold on a minute. I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. Give me half a second.
Well, hey, while Silent's looking that up, I do want to give a couple shout outs to some people that are
Jake Paul.
Yeah, it is.
Above and beyond helping me out, support my business, Best for Sons. Mike Lusk, Mike Brittenham. Right, I really appreciate you guys. It's really all I got, because they'll hit me up saying like, "Hey man, I gotta pay my monthly dues. Like, when are you gonna drop some new shit?" And then we got the nicest of motherfuckers. We got Dave, who is
I need one of them hats.
You need well,
but I want mine writing in red.
Yeah, well, I was supposed to pick up a support shirt, last weekend, but somebody didn't have that.
Hey, maybe you can go to a party where he slaps that beer out of your hand.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I can take care of that. I can take care of the shirt. You take care of the hat.
All right, I can do that.
All right, I'm going to dinner. You got the commercial down, huh, Ken?
Yeah, man, we got them all down. So, hey, Silent Dave, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. And then everybody out there in listener land, we appreciate all the love and support that you guys give us. A lot of these topics that you guys give that we discuss on the show, that we write about on the page, a lot of you guys are asking questions about it in the inbox, and it kind of gives us a little bit of motivation to write or speak on the topic. And I just want to say from the staff to you, thank you guys so much for everything that y'all do with us and for us. And I cannot wait to do another episode on this new platform. We're having a lot of fun with this.
This is smooth. I like this.
This is way better than doing it on Skype. And yeah, we're trying to do one next week, maybe with Drifter before he leaves for the start of his trip, and before Dave leaves for the start of his trip. And it's gonna be fucking great. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be fucking huge.
Well, I hope
let me know what the topic is. Do what? What was that?
I think the topic for next week would be like just catching him before the trip, talking about some of the stuff that we want to record on the trip, and then like how excited he is to be going to his nationals and stuff like that. Because is this year? No, is this year 85?
I don't know. I don't do math, but I got a calculator that does.
I think, or is this 86?
84.
Ah, all right. I was close.
You were very close.
I don't do math, but
I got that California education.
So yeah, so I mean, we'll try and do that maybe Tuesday before he leaves. Hopefully, his shit doesn't get messed up with this storm.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah.
Thoughts and prayers with you too, Jim. So hey, we'll catch y'all next week.
Take care, guys.